We are so back, baby, and I am buzzing with excitement because Paramount Plus just confirmed the premiere date for the fourth and final season of Yellowjackets. It premieres on Friday, November 20th, a week before Thanksgiving, and I can't think of a better holiday gift to all of us than feasting once again on this show. Welcome back to Media Melanie TV. I cover shows worth talking about, and in today's video, we're going to go over everything we know so far about Season 4. A breakdown of the short teaser that we saw, casting news, where Season 3 ended, and I'm also going to drop some theories on who I think the last survivor standing is going to be and how that also ties into the casting news that we have. Now, there was initially a 5-season plan for this show, but they are going to wrap it up in 4. I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it, just given that there was an end point in mind at the beginning, and I think that's always helpful for shows like this, so they don't go completely off the rails. Because it was going to be 5 seasons, I'm thinking Season 4 is probably going to be pretty action-packed and very tight to fit all of this in a way that will be satisfactory. Now, there was something very interesting in the log line for this season. The survivors will be trying to bury their sins before rescue arrives, while an old flame comes back into the picture with plans of their own. Who could it be? So a big part of what Season 4 is going to center on is the rescue itself and also what happens when they do come home. Just in this very short log line with the old flame, which really has me thinking, and then burying their sins. So does that mean that we're losing more people in the wilderness timeline before they go back? Or is it more metaphorical? I think what I'm most interested to see is how they play with the timeline. How are they going to introduce this rescue timeline? And are we going to spend a pretty sufficient amount of time there? And I have another idea about introducing a whole new future timeline that I'm going to get into at the end of the video. Let's dissect this teaser a little bit, though. Yes, it was short, but it was telling. Obviously, they're leaning very into the 90s with the old school TVs and Kurt Loder and MTV News once again, which is something that they've done before. And I think it's just a really smart way to incorporate the nostalgia, and especially for people of my age who love the 90s. But the teaser essentially starts with these older TVs. We've got a few of them, some static. And throughout, we get a montage of scenes that have happened throughout these last 3 seasons. Starts by announcing the breaking news that the Wiscaic Yellowjackets have been found. And then we get Kurt Loder, hey, I'm back with an MTV News brief. And Kurt Loder saying that search and rescue teams in Canada have announced that they indeed did find the Yellowjackets. When that comes up, there's an interesting flash of what looks like the Wiscaic yearbook with a picture of Jackie. And the text reads, who survived? It's going to be very interesting to see exactly how the news is broken about the people that didn't make it back and how deep they're going to go in terms of trying to unbury some of the things that have happened there. Now, we've already seen in the present day, and we know the fallout, and we've seen some of the magazine articles referenced, and it sounds like they really kept it pretty tight in terms of the secrets, but there are also all of these other wild cards that have come into the mix, such as Melissa back in Season 3, Hilary Swank. And then there's Ashley Sutton's character, who is still alive at the end of Season 3, who I think a lot of us thought maybe could end up being Pit Girl, but we know that Pit Girl, in fact, ended up being Mari, one of the biggest mysteries of the show that we finally got an answer to. And really, one thing I loved about Season 3 was towards the second half of the season, how it ended. It really felt more like the core of how we felt in Season 1, which is definitely the best season of all. But as this teaser continues, and at the same time that we see this photo of Jackie in the yearbook, there's a little flash on one of the bottom screens of like a Mother Mary praying statue. I don't remember seeing this specifically, and if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. And when I think of religion in Yellowjackets, I definitely think Laura Lee. So is this just sort of an ode to, yeah, Laura Lee didn't make it, and showing Jackie while we're up there and planting the seed in us viewers' minds of the protocol of how these secrets are or are not going to unravel and the aftermath? There's a bunch of indistinct chatter, and then the TVs go back to static, and we hear this loud, "Can anyone hear me?" Which is Natalie at the end of Season 3 communicating on the radio with the equipment that she finally got working. Then it says Yellowjackets, November 20th, some screaming and sort of like ominous terror horror music in the background, and then the text, "The final reckoning." Friendly reminder, they tell us at the end that this is with the Paramount Plus premium plan only. Of course, it used to be Showtime. They've changed things up a little with the acquisition of Paramount, done some rebranding. So make sure that you have the full package so you're not missing out on Yellowjackets. And I am going to be here with multiple videos per week. I'm going to be your one-stop shop for everything Yellowjackets. So I can't wait, and I hope that you all stick with me. But I think overall what this teaser is telling us, it's planting the seed that we know they are eventually getting out and they get rescued. But I'm curious to know how much time they're going to spend on this rescue timeline, on the rescue itself, and how long it's actually going to take them to get rescued from the time Natalie's on the radio until rescue comes. I read in one of the articles that it was almost alluded to that, yes, this is a rescue season, but it may not happen right away. I feel like I might be a little annoyed if we're not getting the rescue until mid-season. Something I've really wanted from the show from the beginning is to dive more into the immediate aftermath and fallout of the girls coming home. We know some crazy things happen. I mean, Jeff and Shauna eventually get married. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe a little peek of that. But what I'm most interested in is Lottie, because we know she goes away. We've seen flashes of the electroshock treatment. What exactly is going to spawn that? I mean, she's literally like screaming upon rescue, which is some of the footage that we've seen before. So I'm hoping the way that they move between timelines is going to really make us vested in every single timeline and storyline, and not just one, because let's face it, I think for myself, I've mostly been vested in the wilderness timeline, which is interesting given that I am a woman of about the age of the present day survivors. But I mean, I've always been a sucker for teen and young adult drama, so it also makes sense, and the 90s. And obviously these girls are not coming home as the same people that they were when they crashed. So reconciling how even to act when they're back in society after all these terrible things that they've done is going to be crazy. And again, with that logline, learning about this old flame, like who is the old flame? Who could it be? I would love if everybody drops their guesses down below, because I think it's kind of hard to even theorize on who this person could possibly be. And who are we going to meet in terms of parents? Now that segues us into casting news. Most of our regulars who are still alive are coming back, all of the usuals, but we also have a couple that have been bumped up to series regulars, including Nia Zendaya as Teen Akilah and Jenna Burgess as Teen Melissa. And at the end of season 3, I mean, there was like this whole thing between Melissa and Shauna and this power play relationship of it all, which was really crazy to watch unfold. And then we know what happened with Melissa in the present day. And really, Hilary Swank was a great addition to the cast, although we didn't see her as much maybe as I would have liked in season 3. So I'm hoping we get a fair amount of her in season 4. And at the end of season 3, what's interesting about Akilah is that her fate was left a little bit ambiguous. We still don't know if she actually makes it out. These animals that she's been caring for, and animals have been a big part of her storyline. I mean, hello, Nugget. But there's this confrontation between her and Lottie in the cave, and Akilah basically acknowledges that she just doesn't believe in all this crap with Lottie anymore. She's seen holding a rock, almost looking like she's going to strike Lottie. But then at the end, we don't see her during that final hunt where it was revealed that Mari was Pit Girl. So where is Akilah? Is she pulling a Javi and hiding out? Like, what's the deal? Did Lottie potentially take Akilah out, and that's going to be another loss? I mean, she's upgraded to series regular, so I'm thinking that she probably is not dead unless this is like another ghost haunting situation like we saw with Jackie. Or is this all trying to mask her actual survivor status? Could she have been left out there in the wilderness once they actually do get rescued? And also, I'm just kind of wondering, like, why is nobody noticing that Akilah is not there? And if Lottie did, for some reason, do something to her, are they going to blame Lottie or somebody else? There's a lot of discord amongst this group at the end and a lot of calculated plans. So depending on how much longer we actually spend in the wilderness, things could get even more chaotic. And I'm thinking that maybe Akilah being absent is one of the first things that they're going to notice at the start of season 4. Because, I mean, Nat was able to slip away with the equipment, so maybe Akilah was just hiding for a little while. So Akilah is really quite a big wild card here. But what really blew my mind with Akilah at the end of season 3 was that she was the actual one who made the decision to poison the animals to force the hunt, which was something that at the time I did not see coming, like, at all. And Lottie is basically just like a false evangelical preacher who's trying to scam everybody into her weird cult situation, which of course then extends into the present day. But this whole plan with the animals makes it like, oh my God, the wilderness is unhappy. We have to do a hunt. Akilah is starting to sort of feel manipulated by Lottie. And honestly, Akilah's arc during season 3 was one of the darkest. And in a way, I was almost like, God, Akilah probably should have taken Lottie out with the rock, but obviously didn't. And now it's alluded to that maybe the tables turned and Lottie actually took Akilah out. And maybe this upping to series regular is going to be a ghost haunting Lottie. And then speaking of Lottie, in the present day adult timeline, we learned that Callie was actually the one who ended up taking Lottie out, which Misty uncovers. And there's all kinds of discord amongst the Sadekis. Van is no longer with us. But back to the casting of it all. So we have a pretty big name entering the chat here. Molly Ringwald is going to play Vicky, Van's mom. And because we know Vicky is no longer with us in the adult timeline, it has been said that Molly Ringwald will actually be her mom post-rescue. So Vicky is described as somebody who is in recovery, basically trying to make amends. I cannot wait to see Molly Ringwald, and I think this casting is perfect. But the next casting is June Squibb, who is an older actress, and her character is being kept quite under wraps. There is nothing official out there on this, but my theory 100% is that this is an aged older Misty, and that Misty is the final Yellowjackets survivor standing. I'm not sure if that's going to be for years, like they're all wiped out in their 40s or early 50s, and then like this is a flash forward. Maybe we'll get June Squibb narrating as a future Misty, or maybe we'll get Christina Ricci's voice and we'll see June Squibb. But I'm not sure how it will tie together, but I completely think that June Squibb is going to be playing an older Misty. And we still don't really know anything about Misty's parents either. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Quigley weren't home during the whole rat drowning thing. We saw some of the parents ahead of the flight, but definitely no Quigleys. So, and I think there's no chance at all that Shauna is making out of this, nor does she deserve to make it out of this. But going back to some of the things at the end of season 3, I know I went off kind of on an Aquila tangent there, but as I mentioned, Mari was finally confirmed to be Pit Girl. That mythology reveal was honestly everything for me, and I think the show really alluded to it being her, and getting the confirmation just felt good. We learned Shauna is the Antler Queen. It wasn't necessarily like, oh my god, like a light bulb going off. I think Shauna's always been trying to like suppress a part of herself, but she doesn't want to do that anymore. And her taking the power and being the Antler Queen and the one in charge is giving her like a whole new life. And Shauna was honestly terrifying during season 3 in both timelines. So I can't wait to see where Shauna's arc goes. And honestly, I hope that she is not alive by the end of this in the adult timeline. And in the adult timeline, Shauna is also tired of letting these parts of herself disappear. And it's like she's embracing the Antler Queen all over again. It's not just her dealing with her trauma, it's really her embracing it. And that is a pretty scary place to be with a character like Shauna. And then Ty and Misty are basically planning, like, how do we make sure that Shauna is not the last one left here? So I don't think the rescue is going to be the final chapter. Honestly, it's where the chapter is finally going to begin once we enter that territory. Apparently, it takes a while for people to actually reach them after Nat calls out. Is it Nat's call for help that gets them saved, or is it something completely different that we're just not even expecting or seeing yet? And there have been a lot of people out there saying, oh my gosh, if this ends up being like somebody narrating a book or it being a dream or something, that would be disappointing. And I completely agree with that. So I think having an elderly Misty would actually be a really interesting way to do it, sort of telling the story from years in the future and probably being an unreliable narrator at that. And it's also been said that this entire story is from Misty's perspective. So that would actually make a lot of sense if we did have June Squibb as elderly Misty. And then we're going to have Ty being absolutely devastated over what happened with Van and her being taken out, and Dark Ty and what that could potentially mean with her working with Misty. And also, is like Van's body going to be discovered because they buried it and did not report it to the authorities, which is not shocking. And then let's not forget, Ty took a bite of like the raw heart of Van at the end of season 3, which was like crazy. And then there's characters like Walter who could possibly be returning. What's happening with Thaisa and her family after all of the drama? I have a feeling they're going to be giving us some little breadcrumbs leading up to this 4th season, and I am going to be here for all of it. But most importantly, I would like to know, what is everybody's latest hot take, theory, prediction on what could be happening in season 4? Now, I know the teaser didn't give us a lot of information, but once we get more teasers and trailers, I will be here to break those down. And then in terms of other shows, because now we've got a little while to wait for Yellowjackets to return, I am also covering Silo over on Apple TV. I just finished covering Lucky, a heist thriller, also on Apple TV. Furious on Hulu, which is incredible. It's a dark, twisty crime thriller with some comedy mixed in. It's by Liz Merriweather, who did The New Girl. Best show on television right now. And if you like dark, like Yellowjackets, highly recommend that you check out Furious. I am also talking about The Shards, Ryan Murphy's latest show. It takes place in the 1980s. There's a serial killer aspect. And it centers on teens at an elite prep school. I'm finishing up Paris is always a good idea. I've also got a YouTube members-only book club going on here. That is on Hallmark Plus. It stars Lacey Chabert from The Party of 5 Days for people about my age. And then coming up, I plan to talk about Slow Horses. Dexter Resurrection will be back. Yellowjackets. We are going to have an incredible fall and winter lineup. Oh, and Maxton Hall will be coming back in December on Prime Video as well. So I'll keep you posted on other shows I'm talking about, but definitely make sure you're subscribed here because I will be buzzing all about Yellowjackets and I cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again soon. Media Melanie, clicking off.